All right, welcome everybody. Thank you for joining us. I see the room is filling up nicely. Great to have you online today. I hope you're all keeping nice and warm. I've got my little heater behind me here in my room and getting ready to have quite a nice chat with you guys today. I hope you really do enjoy it. We're going to kick off soon. Please use the chat to say hi, introduce yourselves, ask any questions as we go along. If there's something that you'd like to discuss afterwards, maybe hold it until I've finished the presentation so that you can pose your question then, and then I can dig into it in as much detail as we need to. So please use the chat, like I said, make yourselves at home, don't be scared. There is a whole bunch of useful information that I hope you guys will find super valuable. I'm going to give it maybe 1 or 2 more minutes for more people to join the room. More people are joining every second, so that's great. And we'll kick off shortly. I'm going to give it about 60 more seconds and then I'll start. Hello, Michelle and Kevin and Marie-Louise and Lelo and Gavin. Yeah, I hope you guys are well as well. All good this side. Hi, Kim. Thanks for joining us. All right, folks. So let's get going. The platform that we're using today is giving me a 3-hour time limit. I'll try and stick within that. Don't panic. My talk should be about 25 minutes to half an hour at most, and then I'll be addressing your questions and we can chat about anything that comes to mind. So without further ado, let's kick this off and get started. So welcome. Today's talk is about B2B influencer marketing. Going to dig into the opportunities, the challenges, and what I think are great solutions to this concept. For those of you who don't know me or who are not connected to me on LinkedIn, please raise your smartphones, point it at the screen, open your camera, and you will be directed to my LinkedIn profile. And I hope you press the connect button to connect with me. I'd love to connect. And this is the kind of topic that I talk about often on the platform. And if you're interested in this, then hopefully you'll like my content on LinkedIn as well. At the end of the presentation, I'll show this little QR code again if you miss it now, or you could just search my name on LinkedIn. You'll definitely find me. Looking forward to connect. Today's agenda, we're going to be chatting about influencer marketing for B2B, for business to business, and how it applies to B2B sales organizations. Finding and working with B2B influencers. So who are these people and what do you have to do to leverage their influence on normally digital channels to help grow your business? I'll dig into some of the challenges that you can expect to face and what you can do about them. And then I'm going to put to you what I think is the best option for B2B influencer marketing, and that's using your internal influencers as a chosen influencer marketing strategy. So utilizing your employees as these influencers. Some really good reasons for this, which we'll get into towards the end. And then, of course, a little discussion and Q&A session at the end where I'll answer anything that you need to know. If I don't know the answer, I'll make it up. You won't know any better. Everybody will go home happy. All right, so let's dig in. So why influencer marketing, and specifically for business to business? Influencer marketing has become quite a hot topic and it's become quite accepted as a mainstream concept in B2C and consumer brands and selling products, anything from toothpaste to automobiles. But why in the business to business world where branding isn't quite as important or quite as strong? So here's some of the statistics that I've managed to scrape out And I'll run through them quickly for you. So 91% of B2B decisions, purchase decisions, are influenced by word of mouth, by personal referrals, if you will. 77% of buyers rely on influencers for information. So when influential people talk about things that are important to you, we pay attention, don't we? 63% of B2B marketers believe that they would see better results if they worked with influencers. That's quite an interesting one. So the concept is well accepted, like I said. But here's something that you need to also keep in mind. The average B2B influencer campaign should not expect results. And when you read results, mean new business revenue. B2B is typically deals with longer sales cycles, but should not expect to see results within the first 6 months. So what that should tell you is not to avoid the concept, but to know that it's not a short-term solution to a short-term problem. All right, this is a long-term strategy which any company should implement, and there will definitely be long-term benefits, especially in businesses where you have high lifetime value customers. All right, so don't see influencer marketing at all as a silver bullet. Okay, this is a fantastic addition to what you're already doing, and it's possibly an approach which you haven't implemented yet, but you'll learn today what you can do to take advantage of it. So some opportunities to be aware of in the B2B space and how influencer marketing can actually help your business grow. And when I say grow, that's anything from retaining and acquiring new customers, from sourcing the correct talent, and possibly even talking about your corporate social responsibility initiatives in an effective, believable, authentic, and credible way. So influencer marketing can help you with brand awareness. It can definitely help you educate your target market on whatever your products and your services are and how they solve the problems that your clients are currently facing. It is a fantastic customer acquisition and retention tool, because as your customers present and future hear more about your business, they become more familiar with you and your business and the people inside your company, and they start to build familiarity, likability, and trust. And without that, you can influence no one. And it can also help with finding the right staff for your business. Many industries and sectors struggle with the skills shortage. So making your company look like the fantastic place to work that it is becoming a high priority for many organizations. I keep forgetting that I need to click a button on the screen to advance my slide, not just tap an arrow key. All right. So why should we align with influencers as a B2B company? So the best way to become known for something is to associate yourself with someone else who's already known for that thing, which is quite cool. Okay, so if you join forces with someone already famous for something, just by proxy, that affiliation in the public's mind is made. Fantastic reason, or 2-3 reasons to use influencer marketing is to boost your credibility as an organization and as individuals, to boost the reach of your messaging, of your content, of your stories, possibly of your advertising as well. We all need to get new business, so we all need to get the word out. And use influencers to boost engagement with that content. Now, when I say engagement, I'm not only talking about the fluffy stuff like the likes, but the actual comments and conversations that will start off the back of content that you put out as a business, and the results of those engagements, which hopefully at the end of the day for you is new revenue. So influencer marketing can tick these boxes for you. So let's dig into who are these industry influencers or these B2B influencers. So from what I've been able to find out, and drawing from massive multinational brands down to SME type of businesses and across all sectors, these are the 4 categories of influencers that you need to know about so that you can hopefully build a productive influencer marketing strategy, which will serve your business quite well. So number 1, and I didn't even know this was a word until I came across it last week, brand individuals. Okay, people who are quite famous in their own right, where their name is their brand, and where they fit into various industries. So internationally speaking, people maybe like Ariana Huffington, maybe locally people like Aki Anastasiou, who's very well known in the tech space, Gareth Cliff in media, right? People who are quite famous or quite celebrity, tending towards being celebrity, right? But relevant to your industry, your sector as well. Then the next one, industry experts. Now, industry experts, this is kind of a no-brainer. So people who are well-known in their field, relevant to your industry, who have some kind of weight or influence over the buying decision of others. I'm sure in your own sector, in your own industry, you know who these people are already. And they're a fantastic choice when it comes to trying to recruit influencers to work with, because they are generally credible, authentic, and they have a depth of expertise or knowledge, which when affiliated with your brand could pay dividends. All right. Thirdly, employees who are the experts within your business already. All right. They've got skin in the game, they're there, they know what they're talking about, and they're pretty well aligned with your brand, your products and your services. They're well connected within their industries, and these are actually in my opinion, and in the opinion of my colleagues, these are probably the best influencers to use in a B2B marketing, influencer marketing strategy for a few more reasons that I'll discuss in a little while. And then finally, clients. So happy clients obviously can be your best ambassadors out there. They can definitely help you champion your brand, so definitely not to be ignored. At this point, I'm just going to state that, influencer marketing isn't necessarily, it's when you align and work with a person of influence, it's not necessarily based on a platform. So it's not an Instagram strategy or a LinkedIn strategy or a podcast strategy. It might encompass none or all of these things. All right. So perhaps if you are utilizing or working with one of your existing clients to be an influencer, maybe invite them to be a guest on your podcast. Okay, so it's not necessarily about having these influencers take pretty pictures of themselves and put them on social media all the time, although that is often an element of this. I saw this quote the other day, and it really resonated when I was thinking about this talk, because the best time to recruit an army is not the first day of the war. And as we move out of the COVID-19 lockdown situation, as the world tends back towards normality, I've seen that many more organizations are becoming more digitally forward in terms of their sales and marketing processes, and are looking for new avenues to explore when it comes to telling their stories. And influencer marketing and digital marketing in general and social media marketing is becoming more and more popular and prevalent and topical every single day. And if your business is moving in this direction already, perhaps you haven't mapped out the full journey yet, but that doesn't really matter, then you need to consider influencer marketing to maybe use at some point. But at the same time, you need to start as soon as you can, so that when you need that army, you have them. They're trained, they're armed, and they're ready to go to battle for you. I hope it kind of makes sense to you guys. Something else which is very important to realize, and we've seen this a lot in the B2C influencer marketing space, is that popularity does not equal influence. All right, so things we need to consider as B2B marketers and leaders in B2B companies. We need to consider who influences the buyers of our products and services. So what that means is, are your buyers doing research on industry websites? And are your buyers talking to industry experts outside of your company when looking to make buying decisions? Whether it's software, cybersecurity solutions, or bricks, it doesn't really matter. People will always gravitate towards experts, and these are the influencers that you need to look at. And then secondly, consider what influences the buyer. So think about what you're selling, what problem it solves, and what your buyers will be researching and what media they'll be using in this research so that they can move themselves down the consideration journey towards making a purchase. So for, let's say, tech products, possibly technical white papers and case studies would be a fantastic kind of media that will influence a buyer. Now your only problem, once you have those assets, is to distribute them effectively and get them in front of the people that need to see them. All right, so who and what influences the buyer? Those are things that you need to keep in your mind when you're developing your own strategy. So now working with B2B influencers is not always easy, can be tricky. So a couple of guidelines or best practices that you need to keep in mind is you need to invite and reward collaboration. To unpack that a little bit. So because influencers generally operate as themselves, right, under their own names and using their own profiles and putting their own name in affiliation with your company or your brand, you need to invite them to be a part of this so that they can opt in, should never feel forced, and reward this collaboration. Now, these rewards could come in the form of payment, of course, similar to many B2C kind of influencer engagements, or it could be some other kind of collaboration. It could be a guest speaking spot at your next, hopefully not only online, conference or seminar, or let them be a guest on your podcast or contribute a guest blog to your website, something like that. People, especially experts in niche fields, which is a lot of what B2B is, okay, like to have their views and their opinions voiced, and they do love it when you can help them with that, to expose themselves to the world, because they're doing their own personal brands a favor too. So hand in hand with that, provide value for the influencer. So what is the influencer getting out of it? In B2C channels, often the influencer gets some of the merchandise gifted to them, which they then need to promote. In B2B, it's not quite as straightforward as that, but there has to be value for the influencer, because a one-sided relationship isn't generally going to work out too well for you, especially considering the engagement needs to be long-term to show good results. And then finally, to define customer and influencer goals. So in simple language, what are you guys trying to achieve? Why would you work together? What are you after? Are you after new clients? Are you trying to educate your market or something else? So this needs to be decided and planned for, and that's what the strategy needs to be built on. All right, some other critical elements to consider. When you are embarking on an influencer marketing strategy, where are you going to be performing this influence or attempting this influence? So generally speaking, not always, but generally speaking, LinkedIn is a fantastic platform for B2B for a few different reasons. Number one, 7.6 million taxpayers in South Africa, and 7 million of those are on LinkedIn. So economically active people who are professionals are generally on the LinkedIn platform. But they might also be spending time on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, TikTok. Don't know yet for B2B. We'll see how that pans out over the next little while. But definitely don't ignore platforms like that. And of course, YouTube. Right? Think about influencer and brand alignment. So how does brand and the influencer, how do they marry? How do they fit together? Are there common values? Is there a common thread somewhere? Because if there is incongruency, then any kind of messaging or campaigning, you don't want that to feel fake or forced, right? Is there a conflict of interest between your brand or your company and your chosen influencer? Are you trying to sell high-definition TVs, but your influencer works for Samsung, but you are LG? Okay, so think about things like that. Would there be a potential conflict of interest between something else in the influencer's life and what you are working with them on in terms of an influencer marketing campaign? To make sure that there are common goals and objectives. So if someone is a cybersecurity evangelist, then of course you want to be promoting cybersecurity solutions which help solve people's problems, and then you've got some congruency. So that needs to be taken into account when you are choosing and inviting influencers to work with you. All right. Guys, please, again, use the chat functionality to let me know if you have any questions. If you can ask them during the session, I'll keep glancing over there. And if you have any real questions that I can address for you, with pleasure at the end of the session. So maybe hold on to them if you think it'll need some discussion. So I'm going to bust some myths quickly about influencer marketing and B2B influencer marketing in specific. So the first myth is you must always pay influencers money, which is, I'll bust that straight away. If there's a great alignment, and if the influencer is as passionate about your industry, your products and your services and your solutions as you are, maybe you won't even need to reward these people financially. Maybe it'll just be good enough for them, and they'll be rewarded enough for themselves simply being aligned and affiliated with your brand, your products, and your services, because it makes them look good. So you don't always need to shell out a lot of cash to influencers to get them to work with you. Secondly, only use influencers for campaigns. So this I'm going to hammer on a little bit today, is that influencer marketing, especially in B2B, is not a short-term endeavor. The potential rewards are fantastic, right? Because it gives your brand a lot of exposure, and it exposes your people as experts and your products and your solutions as valuable. But if you think about an advertising campaign mindset, as you're paying for a campaign, people will see it. When you stop paying, those ads disappear and evaporate into the ether. So campaign as a word or as a concept doesn't really, or shouldn't possibly really apply to influencer marketing in the B2B space, because this should, in my opinion, be an always on kind of activity, and it should form a pillar of your day-to-day sales and marketing strategy. Okay. Only use influencers for brand awareness. Of course not. Right? Yes, influencers will give your brand a lot of exposure by virtue of the connected audiences that they have, but it's not only about that. Okay. You can definitely also use influencer marketing for performance, right? To convert prospects into customers. You just need to have the right approach. Right, so how do we activate influencer campaigns? Now, I've used the word campaign, but think of it as like a strategy or a program. Probably shouldn't have used that word. But in my mind, we think about it in two ways. Okay, a phased approach, because you need to first get yourselves out there, educate your market, and give your brand the exposure that it needs. But then secondly, you need to convert interested people into paying customers. So just keep that in the back of your mind when you're designing your campaigns or your programs or your strategies, that you need to tick both boxes. A friend of mine works for a bank, I won't say which one, and he was telling me about a digital marketing strategy or a little program that they were running to get people to open new accounts. And they ran a lot of social media advertising, which drove people to a sign-up form on their website. And they had thousands of people visit the website, but almost nobody signed up for the account. So we discussed it a little bit, and what we kind of came up with as a reason behind that is because they'd done too little positioning of their value proposition with these people before driving them to a conversion. Okay, so these people, they went to the site and then they were faced with a sign-up page, which they were like, well, I don't really know what the value of this is for me. So then they would bounce off there. But if they had a better idea of the bank's value proposition, maybe their morals, their values, their mission, their vision, then it would have probably worked out better for them from a conversion perspective. Okay. I'm just reading a question here from Jane Moores. Hello, Jane. She's in Cape Town. Okay, so Jane's asking about the differences between LinkedIn and Facebook as an appropriate platform. So what you're saying here, Jane, is that you've heard a lot of people who advocate Facebook as a business platform because people and potential clients prefer a more personal connection. So there are a lot of differences between LinkedIn and Facebook. And I'm of the firm opinion that Facebook is personal, where LinkedIn is the place where you are expected to be a professional. I hope that makes sense. So yes, although most people who are on social media are probably, if they're professionals, on LinkedIn and on Facebook, I promise you that most of those people who are not on both are only on LinkedIn if they are business people. All right. Facebook's got fantastic reach. The advertising is cheap. You can do a lot on Facebook, so don't neglect Facebook for sure. But I think, especially in the industries that we're talking about here, which might be medical, engineering, construction, renewable energy, those kind of things, manufacturing, that will very much be, those people will very much be looking on LinkedIn for business, because no one really wants to read about industrial pumps on Facebook, let's be honest. Okay. I'm also going to mention that the problem, typically speaking, between the two platforms is that people are comfortable first on Facebook and they try and behave in the same way on LinkedIn, which doesn't really work out for them. Because on Facebook, I talk about my kids and I post my holiday photos. And as soon as I start talking about myself on LinkedIn, everyone just ignores me, right? Because on LinkedIn, as professionals, we're there to help solve our business problems by finding information which can help us with that. Okay. I can elaborate even more on that if you like. I can talk about this all day. But for right now, let me know if you'd like to know more, and I'm going to move on before my 3-hour time limit expires. Okay. Some challenges, guys, around B2B influencer marketing. Some things that make it not so easy to work with influencers in the B2B space, just by virtue of who they are and things like that. So the first thing I'd like to mention is economies of scale. Right, so a person might be well known in your industry, might be an expert. They may or may not have enough reach to actually reward you as a company for working with them. So if they've only got 1,000 or 2,000 connections or followers on LinkedIn, maybe even if they are putting out messaging which is relevant to your company and your products and your solutions, it might not be reaching enough of the right people. So that's something to consider. So when you are looking to work with influencers, if they don't have large connected audiences, maybe you need to work with more than one of them. All right. Brand alignment. So this is a very tricky one. So if someone's an expert in your industry, but they are just traditionally known to be aligned with a specific brand which is not your own, then them posting content about your brand, that might come across as inauthentic. So brand alignment is something that you need to be very careful with, just to make sure that people don't smell a rat. You know, it needs to make sense. And the reason we use influencer marketing, of course, is for that authenticity and that believability all the time. The same is true for common goals. Is this influencer or group of influencers that you're working with, do they share goals with your company? Are they also looking to get more people to implement similar solutions that you can provide? Are they advocating for the same things? Are they evangelizing the same concepts? So that needs to line up, again, for that principle of credibility, authenticity, and believability. And I think I've said it before, without those things, you cannot have strong enough influence in terms of a business buying decision. And lastly, conflicts of interest. So I think I did touch on this before as well. Make sure that there are no conflicts of interest between your influencer and your company or your brand that might bite you down the road. Okay. Right. Now I'm going to turn to something which is close to my heart and the heart of my colleagues at the internship, and that is using employees as your influencers. All right. So obviously you can, I hope you'll agree with me straight away when I say your employees share common goals with your company. That makes sense, doesn't it? Right? If your employees are in sales, they want to sell. And of course, revenue is the most important objective for your business. They have perfect brand alignment because they work for your company. And if you go to their LinkedIn profiles, your company's logo is right there next to their name. So that is a massive box ticked. Generally speaking, they're already well connected in your industry, and they are connected to the appropriate people, right, within your industry. And those relationships are often personal relationships. They know each other, right? And if you have a group of them together acting as your influencers, then you do tick that box which talks to the economies of scale, getting enough reach out there on the platforms. Of course, there should be no conflict of interest. So stuff that they post, for example, to their personal profiles on social media in alignment with your brand, there should be no problem with that whatsoever. Obviously, as long as they're not posting anything which is malicious or damaging to your company or your brand. And because B2B influencer marketing should be a long-term strategy, and I believe an always-on strategy, your employees are there every day, right? They're possibly not clocking in and clocking out like they used to in the 90s, but they're there. They're actively helping and doing business every day in alignment with your brand. So utilizing them is great for that long-term strategy. Now, some of the advantages of using employees is a group of them working together are connected to a lot of people, all right? And from an economy of scale perspective. Something else I'd like to mention there, and studies show this from LinkedIn themselves, is that when employees post under their own names on LinkedIn, those posts reach more than 500% more people, more sets of eyeballs on the LinkedIn platform than posts done to your LinkedIn company page, right? And it doesn't look, smell, and taste like advertising as well, okay? Also, on that content, which is posted by employees, they see 8 times more engagement, likes, comments, shares, etc., than posts posted to your LinkedIn company page. So simply for the media value alone, it makes a lot of sense to work with your own employees to get content relevant to your business out there. Okay. The resource obviously already exists. They already get a salary. They're already working every day for the benefit of themselves and the business. Chances are they want to participate. Chances are they're already speaking about your business and your products and your services, not only online, not only on public social media, but in dark social as well, private social media like their WhatsApp groups. And of course, at the weekend, Brian, on the golf course and in the mountain bike trail, right? Your employees are talking about your business. So why not help them with that? Give them more things to talk about so that they can get their word out there. Right. You'll also see additional benefits, things like improved employee engagement, better recruitment and more successful recruitment drives to help with our skill shortages that we have. It's a well-known documented fact that salespeople engaged in this thing called social selling, which is often off the back of content posted to social media, they perform better than their colleagues who don't participate in social selling. Right, so how do we do this? If you believe me, and I hope you do, and I hope you'll challenge me if you don't, how do you work with your group of internal employees and get them to become influencers advocating for your business? Okay, so here's, I think, 5 or 6 things that you should do, and these boxes all need to be ticked to guarantee success, is that you should nominate and invite a team to participate. Participation must be opt-in. The guys must want to do it. And to do that, effectively, they need to understand what's in it for themselves as individuals. And those type of things, if you remember, I said you need to reward collaboration with influencers in the beginning. So your employees need to understand what's in it for them. Right? So it could be definitely boosting their personal brands, great opportunities for career advancement. They look like influencers, and their customers start to perceive them as more expert than possibly before because they're making themselves visible and expressing their expertise in the public domain. Right? Empower them with knowledge and skills, and this is important to get them all on the same page and to teach them how to use the appropriate platforms in the appropriate manner. because using LinkedIn like I use Twitter wouldn't be as effective as using LinkedIn properly, for example. Right? Then define and share the goals and the strategy with the team so that everyone understands what you're shooting for and how you are going to get there. Provide assistance and guidance. So somebody needs to own the strategy. Someone needs to own the program and hold the hand of people possibly and get them to do what is necessary, what is required and expected. Of course, to make sure that anything is successful, you need to measure the results. So you need to know a couple of things: what you're measuring, number one, how to measure it, number two, and what success looks like so that you know if you're doing the right thing or not. And then finally, take what works and scale it out. So if you've got a pilot team of 10 people in your company doing something, posting content regularly and engaging with each other, and getting the messages out there that you want to get out there, if that works really well for you, don't leave it with 10 people. Get the other 110 to do it as well, because it can only benefit you in the long run. And very important, just kind of like a recap, operate on the appropriate platform or platforms. Participation must be voluntary. Otherwise, people will come to you and say, I didn't have time. And when posting to social media comes up and people say they don't have time, it's rubbish, because we're all on social media all day, every day anyways. So that tells you there's a different problem at play. It's a fantastic idea for leadership to participate, because business leaders set an example for everyone else in the company. And if it's good enough for the leaders to participate in, then the other people will want to join in as well. The team needs training. Okay, the team needs training to get them all on the same page and to give them the knowledge and the skills to perform the activity effectively. You need to work to a content plan and think about it like playing as a team. You can't have 10 soccer players on a field, each kicking in their own direction. Everyone has got to kick towards that goal. And a content plan will help you all shoot for the same objectives. Right? Define and measure the goals and results continuously. Keep your finger on the pulse of what's happening and then adjust as necessary. Learn what works, learn what doesn't work, and do more of what works, and results will be yours. Okay, so again, just to go back to the beginning of this little presentation, remember, use influencers for credibility, reach, and engagement. Why? Because people buy from people, and people believe what people say, and stories and recommendations from people are much more powerful than things coming at us which look and smell and taste like advertising. And so people really control the narrative out there in a more powerful way than your brand can. And social selling, which is what we're talking about here, building business relationships using platforms like social media, is all about social and less about selling. All right. I see it a lot where people within companies post their Black Friday and $9.99 deals, and all they hear is crickets. People don't want to be sold to on social media. They want you to give them a reason to buy from you, and then they will go into your shop, which could be phoning your office or it could be visiting your company's website, and that's where they expect to transact. So keep content away from being transactional, much more towards being valuable and informative. And if any of you know me, then you will have heard me say this before. When we are active on social media like LinkedIn, the reason we do anything on the platform is to serve the people that we're connected with. Okay, not just to be too altruistic, but if we look if we look helpful and we're always giving away something of value, people start to become familiar with us if we're regular enough, and they start to like us and they start to trust us. And once we have people's trust, we can become influential. And of course, that's what it all comes down to, is it's influencing some kind of buying decision for business. And that is my talk. And I see I kept it under 45 minutes. So those of you that were scared about the 3 hours, don't worry, that's me. I'd like to just finish my little broadcast messaging here. Say thank you for joining me on this talk. I really enjoyed it. I hope you have. I expect to see a lot of questions popping up in the chat now that I can talk about. And if you are interested in this kind of topic, using social media for business, go to LinkedIn, go to the search bar and type in hashtag Wolfpack Marketing. And there you will find a completely separate feed put up by myself and my colleagues on these kind of topics, on social selling, influencer marketing, B2B marketing, employee advocacy, all of these type of things. And you can even follow the hashtag. And every time we put something out there, you'll be notified, or you can always search it and find more info like this. So very, very cool. Thanks again, guys. Again, I'm with the internship. That's our website address down the bottom over there. And what we do is we help companies use their employees as influencers, essentially. And we do all the heavy lifting for you. You can find out more information about what we do and how we do it on the website over there. So now I'm going to go to the chat and I'm going to scan up and down. While I'm doing that, I'm going to publish I'm going to publish one question as a poll. Now, 4 possible answers. If you don't mind, just give me your input there. It's always interesting for us to see what businesses out there are doing, what they're thinking about. So I'm going to publish a little poll. It should pop up right now on your screen. Please go to it, have a look. Just tell me what you think. And while you guys are doing that, I'm going to go back to the chat and have a look around and see if there's any questions. Yeah, it's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure. It's a pleasure to everyone. I can talk about this stuff all day long, right? If you want me to keep going until 3 hours, I definitely can. Come on, I'm waiting for a question or two. Anybody have any questions? Tiffany Jade has got a question. What do you consider a great content to share regarding travel, for example? That's a great one. And I feel for everyone in the travel industry right now, of course. And I was speaking to someone the other day who works in a travel business, and we sort of bantered about a little bit. And what I really think people in the travel industry should do, because you can't probably operate at full capacity at the moment, as soon as the restrictions are lifted and you can get back towards normality, you need to position yourself as the provider of choice. That's it at the end of the day. You need to position yourselves as experts and the provider of choice. And how do you do that? I think simply valuable content, which shows you and your company off as experts. Okay, and I know that travel's got, there are a lot of content possibilities and ideas and a lot of great visuals as well. But regular content put out by as many people as possible in a non-salesy way, just to get great brand exposure and position yourselves as experts. Tiffany Jade, I hope that helps. Come on, guys. I didn't put on a jacket just to answer one question or 2 questions. Let me have them. Come on. Actually, I put on a jacket because it's cold. I'm hoping next week warms up a little bit. Okay, guys, this recording will be made available to everyone who registered afterwards. So look out for that, and please, you can share it with your friends and your colleagues, anyone who might be interested. How often should you post on LinkedIn, Barbara? Many people have different opinions on this, but I will say that you need to be regular enough that LinkedIn learns about you and what you talk about, so that it can show your content to the appropriate people. So I would say my personal opinion is at least 3 times a week, but not more than once a day. All right. And different kinds of content as well. So upload a slideshow, upload a photograph, do text only, make a video. The things which don't work so well is when you put links into posts, because then you're chasing people off LinkedIn, and LinkedIn doesn't necessarily like that. So, but just try all kinds of different content as often as you can. Don't always post just for the sake of posting. Try and make it meaningful and helpful. Again, I'm going to say it again, post so that you can serve the people that follow you. And if you do it regularly, you'll figure out the kinds of content that resonate with your audience, and then you can do more of that. And second to posting frequency, every single time you go on LinkedIn, guys, connect with new people. Constantly grow your audiences and your networks, The network effect is something extremely powerful. And just from LinkedIn's backend, LinkedIn will prioritize to show your posts to your new connections first, within the first 30 days. Okay, so if you've connected with a whole bunch of new people recently, you need to be posting so that they can see your content. Okay, dokes. Guys, again, thank you so much. Connect with me on LinkedIn, Nicholas Krull, and shoot me any questions, anything that you need to know. I'm Nicholas at theintern-ship.co.za if you want to send me an email. And here we go. Barbara, thank you for keeping me going. Posting in LinkedIn, how many hashtags? 3. All right. 3 is the golden rule for hashtags. And what you can do from a hashtag perspective as well, just to elaborate one little bit, is that I would say use 2 industry relevant hashtags. So if you're selling solar panels, say solar industry, hashtag solar power, and then use a branded hashtag. So if your company is called Solar Africa, use hashtag Solar Africa. Then you've got a brand connection and an industry connection, and then that will help people find your posts and your businesses. Okay. Tanya, when will I host my LinkedIn masterclass again? As soon as you want me to, Tanya. Drop me a line, let me know what you need, and we can set something up, definitely. On our YouTube channel, which is just search for the intern-ship on YouTube, are some recordings of some of these sessions which we've had before, so you can go there and check them out. But I'll happily do any live sessions, which are fantastic because I can answer questions. So definitely we'll probably do something like that again. Maybe send me some ideas around what you'd like me to talk about if there's something more specific. All right, I've still got 2 hours and 7 minutes left on this platform. So if you don't want to keep me busy, then you don't have to. But guys, thanks again. It's been great. Thanks for your questions. I really enjoyed answering them. And I hope that you will all try and use influencer marketing in your businesses. I see some people have answered the questions over here. And it's going to be very interesting for me to check out the results at the end. If you haven't participated in my poll, it's still available. Go ahead and give me your answers, and it'll help me out a lot, I think. All right, guys, thank you so much. And again, this will be available. You can also follow the internship on LinkedIn, and we'll post up the recording for this. And I wish you a fantastic rest of your day, and stay warm, stay safe. Sorry, I see Tanya over here. What is the 3 hashtag golden rule, Tanya? Use 3 hashtags in your posts. Choose 2 industry relevant ones and 1 branded one. If you use more hashtags, your posts look scruffy and LinkedIn thinks you're being greedy for attention. Anything less than 3 hashtags, you are not giving yourself the opportunity enough to be found by people searching for the topics that you're posting on. All right. From Kim, is a group linked to your company page valuable? Groups on LinkedIn are definitely valuable because it's a separate set of people who join a group which you are possibly not connected with, all centered around quite a specific topic normally. So I would say, yes, quite valuable. The more busy you can be on the platform and the more places you can give content out and the more places you can interact with people, the better, I think. So definitely groups are fantastic. I think groups are very underutilized. And at the moment, LinkedIn doesn't notify you too much when stuff happens in groups. So groups, you need to be intentional and keep going back and checking on them. All right. Just to recap, someone was asking a question. Post on LinkedIn at least once a week, bare minimum, not more than once a day. And think about when people will be in front of their computers or on their phones consuming content. Right? You want to be able to pop yourself in at those times. And weirdly enough, some of my best performing content has gone out on a Sunday evening. But generally during office hours, times that I found don't work well are Friday lunchtime to Sunday lunchtime. So from Friday afternoon to Saturday afternoon, Sunday morning, not a great time that I found, but keep experimenting as well and keep doing things at different times. Let me see if there's any more over here. There's so much content being posted every day. I can't keep up. Prospects must have the same problem. Absolutely. There is always an overabundance of content, and there's only so much space in your LinkedIn feed. All right. The problem, or how to address that, is if you post exceptional content that people engage with, if they click like, for example, they're telling LinkedIn they like the content from you and on that topic. And the next time you post about that topic, chances are that person will see your content again. So LinkedIn learns what people want. Okay, and that is the way that they actually cut through the clutter and give you what you're telling LinkedIn you like in the feed. All right. I think how to get an audience on different platforms. Good question. And so the only way you're going to grow your audience is by putting out more content and connecting with more people all the time as an individual. Right? If you want to grow an audience as a company page on LinkedIn or Facebook, put some money behind it. Okay, your stuff will be served out to the people that you decide are your target audience, and then you can grow an audience like that. But of course, you do have a lot of wastage when you're doing social media advertising, especially on LinkedIn. It's quite expensive. But personally connect with the appropriate people and post good quality content, and your audience will grow. I know people that have that add like 3,000, 4,000, 5,000 connections every single year to their personal profiles without working too hard at it. All right, guys. I think if that's all the questions, I'm going to wrap it up now. Shoot me some messages or some other questions. I'll happily address them for you offline or online, but on maybe a different platform. Enjoy the rest of your day, and thanks for joining me, and look out for the next one. I'm sure I'll be doing another one of these webinars in a week or 4. Okay, so connect with me and I'll definitely let you know. Guys, thanks again. Have a good one. Bye-bye now.